Good evening and welcome to another Rude Awakening, episode 37 tonight. Again, the Rude Awakening comes from one of my old favorite radio stations in South Africa in the 90s and 20s, hosted by a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Mansfield. And there was a crazy guy called Wackhead as well. And it was just good old South African speak. And it was always sort of morning time, drive time and in the evenings when you drove home. So you had them on your radio. And it was just funny. The Son of God used to laugh. And he was also a motorcyclist and a guy, a big man. He was a big man, 6 foot something, and big in both directions. And he used to be a good charity person. He used to always do wonderful things for charities. And that's how I met him, as I would use the Harley club that I was road captain of back in the day. And we would ride and give kids rides and raise money for charity. So it's always a good memory for me, a rude awakening. And I just thought it's so apt to what we all go through as students of our right mind, of our Christ mind, of our Holy Spirit. So let's get started with the questions. And I like this one. This one is along the alleys of what I enjoy to discuss. There's no debate. You can't argue non-duality. It's just pointless. You can't even comment on it. The best thing you can do about non-duality is you listen, and then your inner voice says yes or no. Awareness of awareness. There's no point to judge it or criticize it or say no, it's wrong. This is my point of view. I think mine is better. You just points of view, and that's all tonight is just another point of view that could expand on yours or deepen yours or contradict yours and make you reinforce your own. So, you know, so PG 33, just in case. I am a rogue South African. And what does it mean by I'm a rogue? Just do things differently. Maverick, I guess. Look at it differently and apply your passionate nature to it all, because that's the only way. If you're not pouring yourself in, you're running away from. Okay, so question one. Dear Lou, I like it, Lou, Loo, Lou. Um, People who study non-duality say that the identification with the ego is the cause of all suffering. Yes. Easy to say from the comfort of one's own circumstances. Okay. I don't know whose circumstances he's speaking of, but okay. What about the suffering of the depressed, the poor, war victims, those living in drought or famine? A couple of words you can't mention on YouTube because then it just gets pulled. So people that have been hurt, racism, xenophobia, sexism, blah, 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 assault, injury. Is all is all this an illusionary play? Question mark, exclamation mark. What is the point of God realization if there is no compassion? What is the point of self-awareness if there is no love and understanding? Well, of course, there's no point. I mean, the whole point of it, which means the purpose of God realization, and not I God realization, but I in God realization, or holy self, Christ-minded self awareness, the awareness of being. The whole point of that is that we become loving, compassionate, unconditionally loving, and cease to judge. This is a dream of judgment. You want to escape the dream of judgment, stop judging people, places, things, and events, everything. Self, you know. So the whole point of this world, remember, it's not like God created this world for a reason and a purpose. We've imagined it. We've imagined the whole universe. And over our time of imagining, we eventually imagined the world and then beings, sentient beings of some form or another, early life forms, eventually human beings, and all the other bitty bitty bips that UFO across the world, the universe. So, but God gave us the answer the moment we fell asleep. And when we give the purpose of the world to the answer, and what's God's holy holy answer. His Holy Spirit, His holy beingness, His word spoken silently into our consciousness. Our being already has the knowledge, but it's our consciousness. And what is our consciousness? Our dream consciousness. The content of dream is our consciousness. So God spoke into our consciousness the reminder of our essence, our self, our being, our awareness, our Christ minded extension of God's self. So the purpose of the world is to bring us to a point of surrender. Now, we don't like the word surrender because it means giving up, but it means giving up our desire for people, places, things, and events. It means seek us, we must seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all else is given us. And else is not people, places, things, and events, but all that there is. And what is all that there is? The awareness of being, the essence of being, the joyful love of God. So once given to the Holy Spirit, once you've made that decision to understand and get back to your essential nature, your true absolute reality, your shared reality with God, then the world changes its purpose for you because by your election, you are the decision maker. Since you dream, you could decide not to. And so the purpose of the world now becomes a beautiful purpose, as tough as it still is, so that you really go within and you abide in there. Um, and so you once again return to your essential nature, even though you appear to be in human form. You still appear as a character in your own dream, but your umbilical cord attached to your mind, heart, brain, body, mind identity is no longer now, connected to our dreaming mind, our egoic dreaming mind, our mind that is trapped in fear and dreams, but gets connected to our true source, our right-minded Christ self, which is the extension of God's self. So once that connection is made, once Christ becomes our inner guide, that's where Christ-minded inspiration comes. And while you live in fear, you can't access it. While you live in judgment, you can't access it. Either everything is true or it's not. And so the world we see is either true or it's not. The appearance of it is, we know, is not, because quantum physics, subatomic particles, it's been proven. It's all just energy vibrating, appearing real. The energy is real. And what is that essence energy but perhaps a way that scientists try and calculate the essential nature of being? So scientists will call it particles vibrating, energy vibrating, and the non-dualist will call it spirit or essence energy or the infinite lightness of being. So as you become self-aware, and become is the wrong word, but what other word do I use? As you self-realize, as you return to essential nature, as you become aware of being, aware of being aware, being, aware of being aware, being, aware of the dynamic flow of that essence energy, life force, which is the God essence, then you do naturally become compassionate, loving, unconditionally, and the judgment drops. But if you're still judging what's out there, then your mind is still split. As a decision maker, you still fluctuate between right-minded and wrong-mindedness. You now have had a glimpse into eternity. You've had it, you've had the experience, expression, direct of our true essential nature, but you're still somehow attached to a body or believe you're a body and believe in other bodies and believe in a world and people and places and things, and you don't see through it. You don't see through the veils. You don't see the face of Christ in everything, meaning the love of God in everything. And so it's going to get you conflicted. So the whole purpose of the world is to bring you back to self-awareness, self-realization, God awareness. And then you've got to go out there and be an example of it. And that doesn't mean give up your day job and become a spiritual teacher. It means go out there and demonstrate your compassionate nature, especially in the world of dreams. I hope that gives you some, guidance. But realize you got to do the work, and the work is facing your shadows and and practical forgiveness and offering gratitude at any moment you can. Okay, next question. This is must be someone that followed me from the past, and I'm surprised people still do because back then I used to do besides the psychotherapy, hypnotherapy work, I also used to do talks all over the country and often overseas too. And part of the show was I used to cross over. I used to connect with spirit and bring through messages, and people call that psychic phenomena. But I've been doing that since I was a kid. I was born that way. So I just honed it as I got older. And people love that because everybody wants to know who they're going to marry and are they going to make money and, what's the future hold out. And, if I was able to give them evidence of their past loved ones in detail and bring through messages of hope and forgiveness, because there was always beautiful messages from our fractured cells in the spirit world, where there's less duality, not completely gone, but less. Then it used to give them really great hope, and people used to love it. Used to love coming, and then there were many that tried to disprove you and make out if you're cooked. Of course, the religious ones hated that. And then very often they would leave more inspired than ever. And then I would get invited to go and talk at churches too. So the question is, I started listening to your YouTube talks during COVID. And in 2021, I bought and started reading A Course in Miracles. It has brought much peace to my life. However, I'm still angry with our president. So it doesn't tell me where he's from. I mean, many South Africans are angry with our president. I guess most countries are. People in the countries are unhappy with their president. That's why you have different political parties, I guess. Um, Anyway, the next question is, please can you explain why there is so much cruelty and evil in the world if God is love and we're supposed to be the extension of God's love? Well, there's only cruelty in this world because you dream it up. You dreamt up a cruel world. You've dreamt up a cruel universe. There's always something trying to kill something trying to eat something in order to survive. Would you say it's cruel if a lion kills a gazelle, springbuck? Cat wants to eat. It's cruel for the gazelle, but is it cruel if its nature is to hunt? And so be very careful to judge because the minute you're seeing it as cruel, then you can only but see an outer reflection of an inner condition. And that brings me to be aware that you're still identifying as a body, not the dreamer of the world. You're still seeing yourself as a character in the dream as opposed to the dreamer. And the dreamer who once awakens to himself, his Christhood, the love of God extended forever, eternity, and here now. So if you still think and you identify with body and bodies, then you've created a separation through your perception. And I urge you to go to text 21, part 2, responsibility for sight. And there's a section that says, I am responsible for what I see. Now, we don't want to hear that. I mean, I'm in a legal struggle right now. I don't want to believe that I've created this. I mean, how can I? I thought I was going out to help. I choose the feelings I experience and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And how often are we so trapped in the routine of judgment, of feeling riled up, energized by anger, vengeance, or the opposite, victimhood, and self-pity? That's our natural go-to. So we keep recreating patterns, activities, experiences that rile us up in us. I know that for many years I did that and it still comes up, but I no longer see it as, you know, judgment betrayal. I now see it as fractured parts of myself that haven't yet realized any form of judgment is judgment of self. Any form of betrayal is betrayal of self, Christ, self. So, so I choose the feelings and experiences. I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and I receive as I have asked. Now, say that to someone who's just gone through radical trauma, and they're not going to be able to accept that. I haven't asked for this. I didn't ask for this to happen. Not you as a character, no. You see, and the character which is innocent, as the body is innocent, as its brain is innocent, still is innocently connected to its right-minded Christ self. But the right-minded Christ self isn't a full connection. So you still see yourself as a body, and yet a part of you, your innocence, your beauty, your love, your unconditionality can't filter through, can't flow through. And so the lens of the ego is still filtering. And because you do not remember falling asleep and dreaming this up, making up a universe, making up this world, making up this body, you're incensed that the essence of what you are, love, could allow this to happen. The essence of you, love, the essence of you, your God nature, gives you free will, and a part of you chose to dream. But that doesn't make any sense, does it? Because our mind wants to make sense of a senseless universe, a senseless world. In text 21, 11.5, the world you see is but an idle witness that you were right. See, the world's blaming, the world's attacking me, the world's cruel. This witness is insane. You trained it in your testimony. So when you bear testimony, in other words, when you complain, criticize, judge. So when you give a testimony, it is then given back to you. And you listened and convinced yourself that what you saw was true. You did this to yourself. And I'm not talking to you as a character, I'm talking to all of us as the dreamer. You see only this. And you will also see how circular the reasoning on which your seeing rests. This was not given you. This was your gift to you and to your brothers, to your fractures. Be willing then to have it taken from him and be replaced with truth, taken from self, taken from them. The filters of amnesia, the filters of sleep. And as you look upon the change in him, it will be given you to see it in yourself. So no more judgment out there. As a man judges, so he is judged. By what? His judgments, his own judgments. Just a little section there. But there's also good news. And I'd urge you to go to chapter 29.1, the closing of the gap. See, you still believe there's a gap between you and your brother, you and the floor, attached through gravity, you and the tree, you and people, places, things, and events, you and the screen, and the screen from me in a different country to you, or different town, or different state, or different room. There's nothing to be feared. There's no time, no place, no state where God is absent. So the minute you're criticizing, you're saying to yourself, God is absent. There's nothing to be feared. There is no way in which a gap could be conceived in the wholeness that is God, that is His. The, comprom- the compromise, the least and littlest gap would represent in His eternal love is quite impossible. God is closer than close. In actual fact, you're in God, never left. Holy Son, Holy Dreamer, the Dreamer. Your character is just a temporal illusion, hallucination in the dreamer's mind. We hate that. We hate the fact that we're not real. And that's our greatest fear, is not death, but never having existed as individual entities at all. We love the romantic idea of a spirit world and a heaven where everybody loves everybody, you know, but that's just idea. That's just concept. Anyway, for it would mean impossible gap, for it would mean that his love could harbor just a hint of hate, his gentleness turn sometimes to attack, and his eternal patience sometimes fail, or the fact that from God could come something evil called Satan or demons, you know. And all this you do believe when you perceive a gap between your brother and yourself. How could you trust him then? For he must be deceptive in his love. Be wary then, let him not come too close and leave a gap between you and his love. Think about your president that you're criticizing. You don't realize that perhaps he's doing the best he can. You may not agree with him, but in his mind, he's doing what he can do, you know? So there's no gap between you and the essence of what your brother is, which is God's love, through which you can escape if there need, if there be need for you to flee. So you want to keep that gap so you can run away, so you can't be harmed and not be blamed for harming him or her. Here is the fear of God most plainly seen, for love is treacherous to those who fear, since fear and hate can never be apart. No one who hates is afraid, but afraid to love, and therefore must be afraid of God. So if you're judging and hating and being upset by whoever, president, ministers, whoever, your neighbor, then you're judging. Certain it is that he knows not what love means. He fears to love and loves to hate. And so he thinks that love is fearful, and hate is love. And that's why we bandy together in groups of like-minded beliefs. And we love that deity, that God, that belief, and then we hate everybody else, justifying our actions. This is the consequence the little gap must bring to those who cherish it and think that it's their salvation and their hope, their way, the only way. The fear of God, the greatest obstacle to peace, must flow across, has not yet gone. So the gap's still there in your imagination. The rest are past, but this one still remains to block your path and make the way to light seem dark and fearful, perilous and black. You had decided that your brother is your enemy, sometimes a friend, perhaps, provided that your separate interests made your friendship possible a little while, but not without a gap between you and him, lest he turn again into an enemy. Let him come closer to you, and you jump back, just as you approached. Did he but instantly withdraw? A cautious friendship, limited in scope and carefully restricted in amount, became the treaty that you had made with him and every other fractured part of yourself, not just one person. Thus, you and your brothers, but share a qualified entente in which a clause of separation was the point you both agreed to keep intact. And violating this was thought to be a breach of treaty not to be allowed. And you get that in everything. I'm going through it in business right now. It's quite interesting. A gap between you and your brother is not one of space between two separate bodies. And this but seems to be dividing off your separate minds. You don't have a separate mind. You've got a listening device through which you speak and listen and seem to see and hear and taste and feel. It is a symbol of a promise made to meet where you prefer and separate till you and he elect to meet again. So I really urge you to go to the section, and realize that behind your judgments is the fear of God, you know, conditional upon the right to separate. Will you and he agree to meet from time to time and then separate again? The body could not separate your mind from your brothers unless you wanted to be a cause of separation. And so our dreaming mind then spits out variations of its self-fractured, 8 billion on this planet, in which it can see the contents of a dream and in which it can judge its fractured parts and keep him accountable and responsible for its suffering, thereby keeping the whole dreaming fractured mind in suffering. And herein lies its power over you. For you now think that it determines when your brother and you meet and limits your ability to make communion with your brother's mind. And now it tells you where to go and how to get there, what is feasible for you to undertake, and what you cannot do. It dictates what his health can tolerate and what will tire it, make it sick. And its inherent weakness set up the limitation on what you could do and keep your purpose limited and weak. You call it genetics and all sorts of wonderful scientific terms as to why you're going to have cancer just because your parents did. It's not true. It's all cancers caused by dreams, by dreaming minds of sin, fear, and guilt. And the body will accommodate to this if you would have it so. It will allow but limited indulgence and love, with intervals of hatred in between, and will take command of when to love and when to shrink more safely into fear. It will be sick because you do not know what love means. And so you must misuse each circumstance and everyone you meet and see in them a purpose not your own. It is not love that asks for sacrifice. You're not asking I'm not asking, and God's not asking us to sacrifice accepting our brother who you don't like and you don't agree with. But fear demands the sacrifice of love. For in love's presence, fear cannot abide. For hate to be maintained, love must be feared. And so you fear and judge your brother because you are love. And so the minute love misperceives and sees hate and experiences hate and judgment, you're not aware of what you are and only sometimes present and sometimes you're gone. Thus, love is seen as treacherous because it seems to come and go uncertainly and offer no stability to you. And it wraps up all that happens when the gap is gone and peace is eternal. That's it. Peace is eternal. And remember, your body's peace is innocent. It's got no goals, and so not, nor does your brother. He just doesn't realize, and as do you. Hence, you see him that way. That you but listen to the broadcast of a fearful, dreaming mind, and yet both of you share one indivisible beingness, which is in essence the love of God itself, extending throughout eternity. So yet what is yet all that happens when the gap is gone. So when you no longer perceive distance between you and your brother, you realize your interconnectedness is peace eternal. Nothing more than that, and nothing less. Without the fear of God, what could induce you to abandon your brother or abandon God or feel separated from? What toys or trinkets in this gap could serve to hold you back an instant for his love? Would you allow the body to say no to heaven's calling? Were you not afraid to find a loss of self in finding God and finding love and finding the love of God? But that is wherein you and your brother abide. Can yourself be lost by being found? Can you really be punished when you learn to love all there is without a single judgment? It's not easy. It isn't easy, but it's worthwhile. It isn't easy, but it is simple. And all it requires is that you ask to be shown a new way to see this. And for as long as you choose to be right, then that's the way you're going to see it. You're not going to recognize that you, the dreaming mind, is doing this to yourself. And until you recognize yourself as the dreamer and not the dream character, you won't understand, as you said, aren't we supposed to be the extension of God's love? Yes, we are. And not supposed to be. We are it. You are it. But it's so easy to get trapped and to get vengeful, especially if your beliefs, your experiences, your circumstances seem to be attacked. I hope that gives you some clarity. I certainly need to stay focused on that right now. So yeah. Okay, dear Lou, next question. Um, Also someone that's been listening to for many years and says, been following you for 20 years. Then you disappeared. Now you seem very different from that rather infamous South African mystic psychic we all love to listen to. Used to go to your talks regularly. What happened to you? Have you become enlightened? Question mark. I think so, gives the answer. Okay. My question is this. What in your experience changes after enlightenment? I see you now call it a holy instant or awareness or self, awareness of self. Well, yeah, okay. Okay, I know. I'm not enlightened. Please, people, I'm not enlightened. I'm the furthest thing from it. I'm just a student of life and returning to, in my present moment consciousness, to the present moment awareness of the awareness I am. If I was there, I think I'd be quiet. I'm going quiet. Um, I'm far from what you imagine enlightenment to be. And there is no such thing as enlightenment for a body mind. But now you've got legends, Ramana Maharishi, Jesus, etc., etc. So you think they're enlightened. They just self-aware. The enlightenment is of their essence energy. No bodies don't become enlightened. Bodies dissolve in the light of their awareness. the light of awareness. And yes, temporarily while they appear on this earth, they've let go of judgment. And that's why you find them so loving, because you love anyone that doesn't judge you and accepts you just as you are. Think about it. If someone just loves you and accepts you as you are, you love them. That's why you love God and you love the symbolic Jesus, because you loved everybody that way. And when the guru does that, you feel, wow, he must be enlightened. Um, it's only our dreaming mind that becomes enlightened. In other words, it's like you waking up in the morning. At some stage, you're deep in dark dreams. And why do you dream when it's dark? Because that's when we sleep at night. So you dream, and when you close your eyes, it's all dark. And then you imagine light and characters. So our dreaming mind is becoming enlightened. And so we're all lightening up. And I can promise you, the entire world right now, every single character is way lighter than we were 2,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, and so forth. So our dreaming mind enlightens. But I guess in a way, you're also asking, what can you expect from this path of non-duality? Well, you'll judge less and therefore judge yourself less, and you'll take things less seriously, and you'll learn either effortlessly or painstakingly for most to not listen to. You can't control and avoid and destroy the thoughts, but you elect not to listen to them. Dial down the radio, dial down the constant chattering, judgmental chattering of our dreaming mind who wants to keep itself trapped in fear. In my own experience, it's been a gradual, painstaking evolution, eve of love, where I was trapped in my own judgmental, subjective reality and realizing that there's no mine anymore. There's only the unfolding into our shared being, our shared I. And I have moments of total clarity. I am that. I am that in which my dream appears, our collective dream appears. And then I also have moments of total and, you know, just want to bite someone's heads off, punch people in the nose. But hey, yeah. But those episodes of vengeance and anger and hurt, and all comes from hurt, of course, and which comes from fear, which comes from the fear of God in some subconscious way. Those don't last right now. And if this was 20 years ago and I was going through what appeared to be going through right now, I wouldn't be able to do this talk. I'd be fully focusing on war mode and putting together a court case to destroy my enemy. Now I hand it over and let it be, and whatever's going to be, it will be. And that's what's changed. And I can sleep at night now. I'll wake up in the middle of the night going, "Arr, what if? What if I lose my company and I lose my job and I lose my salary and I lose my income and I lose my pension? I could lose it next week. Right now, I let go, let God, and know that everything is always happening for my highest good. So, what's my experience? You asked me for my experience. So, you start to integrate the non-dual understanding into everyday life. And there's an inner dialogue going. And I'm going to talk about it next week, the rules for decision. You know, how do we decide for Holy Spirit, for right-mindedness? It's a great question I was asked, and it's too long to answer in this session. So I'll dedicate the whole session next week to rules for decision. And you start to integrate it all. So you start to become aware of being awareness, and you realize the thoughts, the attack thoughts, the broadcasting thoughts that want to bring you into anguish, fear, separation, attack, vengeance. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks. And you bring yourself into the stillness, into the silence. And the people that you once imagined, you just empty them, and God fills that space. And there's a peace that comes about it. And it requires vigilance, continuous vigilance, because it's so quickly, because you meet a friend, especially someone close to you, and before you know it, you're offloading your story. You've made it real for them and you. You've made it real, and you're now vibrating in that resonance of anxiety fear, and we're resonance specific thoughts in form. And so what happens to that resonance specificity? It attracts a similar corresponding resonance. Before you know it, you've attracted more attack thoughts. And you go, you see, I was right. The whole world's a shitty place. It's cruel. It's horrible. It's vengeful. People are all ugly. And I must say, I discovered self-inquiry much later on into my awakening to self sequence. Ho'oponopono was very much a first step, and that was after having read the Tao Te Ching since I was a young boy, since I was about 9. I've been reading it Tao, and I was getting glimpses into a non-dual aspect, even though I only realized what the word non-dual was at the age of 30. And even after my death experience, which is 13th of October, it's actually tomorrow is the anniversary, at the age of 33. So quite a while back. And even that didn't give me a full realization that Dream World 1 is still a dream. So there were still moments of understanding what I thought were layers of evolution, soul stages and stuff. But you start releasing it all and realize I can bypass all the processes and steps of first dream, bypass the whole thing through forgiveness and return to our true essential nature, Christ-mindedness. Step out of the dreaming mind as a thought and form, because once that thought and form is forgiven, it is forgotten. The mind is no longer aware of that thought it once thought up at the inception of time. By the way, the mind isn't making up any new thoughts. It's just finding new ways to broadcast them. But it's the same thought of fell asleep, got abandoned, believed in a vengeful God, believed you were going to be punished. The idea of sin came into your mind, into our mind, and then you lived in guilt and try to project it outwards. So that's all. There's no different thought. It may appear in different forms, shapes, sizes, colors. It's still the same thought. So when I went into self-inquiry, I very quickly found these thoughts are not my own. This is a projection, and I can elect to not listen. Can't stop the broadcasts because it's already over. It's an echo of nonsensical what appears to be eternity. But the true echo of eternity is the substrata, the background humming, the screen on which the holographic projection seems to appear. So gradually we start taking our thoughts less and less seriously until all thoughts and ideas and concepts and beliefs spoken by our unconscious dreaming mind, unaware that it's still asleep, just no longer, grab you. And thus, when these things pop up and they trigger you, you forgive your triggers because you realize through forgiveness, I release them. Because through forgiveness, I recognize they're not real. I just dreamt it up. And so forgiveness gets rid of the illusion of dreaming and brings you to the awareness of your essential nature, which is forever awake as the extension of God's love. So forgiving your triggers becomes so much easier. And of course, you're still going to have A-type souls driving around and causing havoc, but you won't be triggered and you won't take it personal. And the fear of awakening to self, of never having existed as a separate body entity, having cycled through incarnation after incarnation as a separate spirit being projected into bodies, that goes. Because now you realize you're the essence energy, the life force, the God seed, the love of God, the nature of God, ever extending. And there's no fear. There's no fear to awakening. There's no punishment after the dissolution of the body, the universe. And then you become grateful for this recognition, no longer theoretical concept, which it was in the beginning when you get into the non-dual. It's theoretical. It makes sense, but it doesn't make knowing. To make knowing, it has to be known through you as a whole new reality. And then the gratitude starts to flow to what? To our essential nature, to our Holy Spirit, to the voice for God that didn't abandon his son when his son chose to dream of nothing, of a vengeful, can you imagine a loving father and his son now dreams his father's a vengeful person? How long would that father remain loving? Well, God is the Father that remains loving regardless of what we imagine him to be and what we blame him for. And so when you return to being, when you return to the awareness of being, there's an alignment. And the minute there's an alignment, it's like opening a door, and the light streams in, and there's an alignment to the light. And that light is essence energy. What is essence energy? Spirit. Spirit light, inspiration. So the character, the body mind vessel that is now stepped out of identity. That's what it means to step out of the way. You've stepped out of identification with form. Now is free to let the light flow through, the inspiration flow through, and you become that beautiful being, that light in the world that reflects the face of Christ to all your brothers, because you're choosing to see all of them as that. Can you maintain it 24/7? Well, you're lucky if you could do it for an hour a day. But it's an hour a day that you never did before, and then hour becomes a few more, and before you know it, it's the majority of your day. Ego doesn't like to hear the next one is you start to lose your desire for things of this world, for labels, brands, objects, people, things, events, special activities, needing to build things that look in a certain way. It starts to just, you lose it. You lose the desire for all of it. And yet there's a desire to be a truly helpful service, not a servant, to be of service through your own unique set of natural talents, not skills. Skills you learn, natural talents, what's natural for you to do. I mean, for an artist, it's easy. He's naturally artistic. A musician, it's easy. He's naturally musical, and that's what they want to do all day long. What is it that you want to do all day long? That's your natural nature. Well, that's your God nature played through the apparition, what we call our natural talented nature. And so we help where we can, we pour ourselves back in. Remember, escaping what? You can't escape your dream. You're a character in your own dream. So don't deny it, don't denounce it, don't push it away. Embrace it all, love it all, forgive it all. Forgive it all, love it all, and own up to the fact I've dreamt this mess. But because of the memory of God within myself, I can remember peace, joy, love instead of this. Not easy to hear, especially when you're going through hell. But it's an alternative way of looking at it, and one that has certainly radically changed my life. Okay. The next one is a book, so I can't read the whole question. It's from a regular follower and often attends. You might even be here. I can't see the names on the screen right now. And the question goes all about chemicals and 5G and toxic people and toxic chemicals everywhere and toxic people everywhere and toxic past relationships and just things haven't turned out the way she hoped. Things haven't turned out the way she dreamt they should. And I get many a such question. And there's actually 4 or 5 of them in from various parts of the world, all pretty much complaining about now there's a 6G on the way, and the government's trying to control our thoughts, and the UFO phenomena is all government black ops stuff, and they want to control our thoughts, they want to control this, and there's aliens trying to control us, and there's extraterrestrial bodies trying to control our thoughts, and then the religious ones go, there's demons trying to control us, and there's angels trying to save us, and it's all these wonderful theories. And, of course, conspiracy theories, and there's airplanes flying up in the air with chemtrails. And man, tell a person that believes in chemtrails, it's just whatever. Water particle. They'll get so angry with you. They believe it, and they want to believe it. And I'm not saying it is or it isn't true. I'm saying, Holy Son of God, you've dreamt all of it up. You've dreamt up every single chemical, good and bad, in whichever way you perceive it. But you've dreamt it all up. You've dreamt up 5G. You've dreamt up vibrations. You've dreamt up toxicity. But can you, the dreamer, be harmed by what you dream? And so the question really is, how do we apply the non-dual thinking, the non-dual understanding, the teachings of A Course in Miracles, for example, in our everyday life? How do we practically practically achieve peace of mind, peace of being, the peace of God that transcends understanding into knowing. So, yes, my answer to all of you that have asked me this question, and as I say, I can't read everybody's question because I would be sitting here for the whole next 3 days just reading people's complaints about the world they appear in. So recognize this, beloved, Holy Son of God, that is asleep, unaware that you are the Holy Son, the Holy Essence, the Holy Extension. This is a dream of judgment. That's it, where you believe that you have sinned subconsciously. You can't remember it. Or you still believe you sinned because you think you look back on your life and you attach the same qualities of dreaming to all your past experiences. And so you somehow believe you're going to be punished either while you're living or one day when you cross over. And so you're even more afraid subconsciously. Of course, you can't remember the secret dream and the secret pact you made with yourself that you're going to be punished when you awaken. Yet you can choose to awaken from this dream you made up. Of course, you're dreaming, so everything that dreams will wake up. Nothing dreams forever. You've never fell asleep and dreamt forever. And so to awaken from this dream, you need to remove the purpose that you made for it, which was to judge. And you remove the purpose of judgment by judging not, by complaining not, by resisting not, by not seeing yourself as a victim of the world where chemicals and people and toxicities and whatever is going to harm you. What can harm the Holy Son of God? It can only harm the appearance of the Holy Son of God's body by his own election. You've made rules for this, and you believe those rules, those mutable laws of man, ebbs and tides. There's no ebbs and tides in God. There's always just oneness, the rising of the tides. You think that happens in heaven? In heaven, there's no tide. It's always here now. And so you have to get to a point where you judge not. And since you do not know how not to judge, because that's how your mind is programmed, you need to now practice practical forgiveness. Forgiving first and foremost yourself for dreaming this up and dreaming a dream where you could be harmed, judged by, and hurt by toxicity and waves and Wi-Fi and 5G and whatever. Because no matter how mankind comes up for ways to entrap you, they need to make you believe that you can be trapped by these things. Back in the 60s, 70s, hundreds, people believed in curses and people would die of curses. What's a curse? It's an ill wish on someone else. But it can only affect you if you believe it has any power, because you've given it power. You've given all the things that you think can hurt you power. And how have you done that? You've turned them into idols. Idols you worship. Either you worship them in love, like the deities, or you worship them in hatred, but you worship them nevertheless. So you can return to being, to the awareness of being, and truly represent Christhood on this earth, just like Jesus did, unconditional love. You can be a walking, talking Christ on this earth. There are 8 billion of us. If we only recognized our indivisibility, our shared beingness, our interconnectedness, because we are fractures, characters in one dreaming mind. So we all exist in our dreaming mind, and our mind exists as the extension of God. Exists is the wrong word, is the extension of God. To exist means to dream, in my understanding. So you stop making idols of people, places, things, and events. Idols in the past, idols in the future, idols all around you that you resist and hate or love and worship. And what is that? What if the essence of you is Christ, what is it that's against Christ? The Antichrist. Now, of course, religion, subjective reality, objectified realities. There's what's the Antichrist? Must be the devil. The Antichrist is anything that prevents you from recognizing the Christ you are. And so the Antichrist is, in essence, the idols you've made up. Now think of the idols: planets, solar systems, sun, moon, stars, people, deities, past ones, present ones, guru teachers, objects of desire, places to live, places to go visit, certain lifestyle. We've turned this world of matter the appearance of matter into idols. The whole thing's an idol. And so I urge you, go to chapter 29.8, the Antichrist. What is an idol, it says? Do you think you know? For idols are unrecognized as such and never seen for what they really are. That is the only power they have. So think about, you mentioned 5G. The only power 5G has is you're given it power through your belief. And then you're going to read some scientific document, which some scientist who creates that is wanted you to believe. So don't give it any power. Their purpose is obscure, and they are feared and worshipped, both because you do not know what they are for and why they have been made. And they've been made by fractures of yourself. So by your dreaming mind, you may call them other scientists or other engineers, but it's all you, Holy Son. An idol is an image of your brother that you would value more than what he, she is. And that's why you love some people and hate others. That's why you want some people and denounce others, you know. And it is, sorry, idols are made that he may be replaced, no matter what their form. And it is this that never is perceived and recognized, be it a body, a thing, a place, a situation, or a circumstance, an object owned or wanted, a right demanded or achieved. It's the same. So you expect things to be that. You expect the neighbors to be quiet. You expect the traffic to be smooth. You expect the weather to be perfect. You expect it to be in a certain way, and you've made your expectations your idols. Look not on their form. Let not their form deceive you. Idols are but substitutes for your reality, filters. In some way, you believe they will complete your little self, your identity, for safety in a world perceived as dangerous, with forces massed against your confidence and peace of mind. They have the power to supply your lacks and add value that you do not have, that you don't think you have. No one believes in idols who has not enslaved himself to littleness and loss, believing you can be a victim of this world and that this world can harm you. The essence of you can't be harmed. But while you think you're a body, you believe you can. And that's the problem. You're still identifying with the body as opposed to letting go, letting God. Thy will be done. If I need to go now, glad to. And thus must And thus you must seek beyond this little self for strength to raise his head and stand apart from all the misery the world reflects. This is the penalty for looking not within, for certainty and quiet calm that liberates you from the world and lets you stand apart in quiet and in peace. Nothing in this world can harm you, Holy Son of God. And the minute you recognize you've dreamt it all up so that you could believe it can harm you, so you get trapped in fear, fighting, resisting the world. I mean, you take a little character like, I like her. I like the madness of that kid, Greta Grumberg, Grumpyberg, and they're fighting. She honestly believes in the hearts of hearts she's doing good. People are selling her an agenda, and whether she's right or wrong, it matters not. But she remains angry. And that's sad because inside her, she really just wants to love and share love. And trust me, she's going to love the people that don't like her too. And the very people one day, and she'll experience it because that's the way of the nature of our dream until you let that go. The very people that she tries to help will turn on her one day too. It's just the way it plays because that's how we keep ourselves trapped in vengeance. An idol, brothers, sisters, activities, people, places, things, and events. It's a false impression or a false belief. You believe 5G can harm you. It can't. If you give it power, it will. You know, some form of antichrist that constitutes a gap between the Christ and what you see. An idol is a wish made tangible, believed, and given form, and thus perceived as real and seen outside the mind. Your mind, you think you have a little mind. Yet it is still a thought and cannot leave the mind that is its source, nor is its form apart from the idea it represents. All forms of antichrist, idols in other words, oppose the Christ, oppose what you are. The world, the universe opposes the awareness of being and fall before his face like a dark veil that seems to shut you off from him, alone in darkness. Yet the light is there. Where? Within you. You are it. A cloud does not put out the sun. No more a veil can banish what it seems to separate, nor darken by one with the light itself. This world of idols is a veil across the face of Christ because its purpose is to make you believe. Its purpose is to separate you from yourself, your brother from yourself, your awareness from being. A dark and fearful purpose, yet thought without the power to change one blade of grass from something living to a sign of death. Its form is nowhere, for its source abides within your mind, where God abideth not. And where God abideth not, nothing exists. So it has no source. This is this is where this sorry, where is this place where what is everywhere has been excluded and been kept apart? What hand could be held up to block God's way? Whose voice could make demand God enter not? The more than everything is not a thing to make you tremble and quail in fear. Christ's enemy is nowhere. Your essence is everywhere, and therefore you have no enemies. He can take no form in which he ever will be real. What is an idol? Nothing. It must be believed before it comes to life and given the powers you've given it, and given the power that it may be feared. Its life and power, or is its believer's gift. It's a gift you've given to people, places, things, and events. That this is what the miracle restores to what has life and power worthy of the gift of heaven and eternal peace, because that's what you are worthy, not the gift you've made and given to illusions. The gift does not reinforce, does not restore the truth. The light, the veil between has not been put out. It merely lifts the veil and lets the truth shine unencumbered, being what it is. It's truth, it's ultimate reality. It does not need belief to be itself, for it has been created, and so it is. An idol is established by belief, and when it is withdrawn, the idol dies, the belief and power of things outside you. This is the Antichrist, the strange idea that there is a power past omnipotence, a place beyond the infinite, a time transcending the eternal. Yeah, the world of idols have been set by the idea this power and place and time are given form and shape the world where the impossible has happened. Yeah, the deathless come to die, the all-encompassing come to suffer loss, and timeless to be made the slave of time. Yet does the changelessness change, the peace of God forever given to all things, give way to chaos, and the Son of God, as perfect, sinless, and loving as his Father, come to hate a little while, to suffer pain, and finally to die. Is that what you want? Is that what you want to represent? Holy Son of God, teachers for God, when you complain and moan and give power to things outside yourself? Where is an idol? Nowhere. Can there be a gap in what is infinite? A place where time can interrupt eternity? A place of darkness set where all is light? A dismal alcove separated from what is endless and has no peace? An idol is beyond where God has set all things forever in himself, and has left no room for anything to be except his will, the love of being. Nothing and nowhere must an idol be, while God is everything and everywhere. What is the purpose? What purpose has an idol? What is it for? This is the only question. So when you see things in this world that you think are going to harm you, what is it really for? Is it to make you believe you can be harmed? To make you think that you can die, that you're a body? And the minute you do that, forgive it and take away its power. Each worshipper of idol harbors hope his special deities will give him more than other men possess. It must be more. It does not really matter more of what. More beauty, more intelligence, more warmth, even more affliction and more pain. As long as it's more of something, you're the person that suffers the most or the happiest. But more of something is an idol for. And when one fails, another takes its place. So it's not 5G, it's going to be 20G or something, with hope of finding more of something else. Be not deceived by forms of something that something take. An idol is a means for getting more illusion, because you already have everything that is real. And it is this that is against God's will. God has not many sons, Holy Son of God, but one. And you, we collectively are it, dreaming we are fractured beings. In a world of vengeance where fractured beings want to hurt each other and can, Holy Son, return to right-mindedness and take your character no longer seriously. And no matter what happens to the character, it matters not, because the essence of what you are, as fearful as that idea is, can be overcome if you truly return to being. And I know, as I go through these episodes of, you feel like there's anxiety and it becomes overwhelming and you want to fight and scream at the world and you want to attack. Don't. Abide. For more than heaven can you never have. If heaven is within, why would you seek for idols that would make heaven less? Good idols, bad idols. To give you more than God bestowed upon your brother and on you, as one with him. God gave you all there is, and that's life, the essence, energy you are. Return to that. And to be sure you could not lose it, did he also give the same to every living thing as well? And thus is every living thing a part of you, as of himself. No idol can establish you as more than God, but you will never be content with being less. Why? Because you are the essence of the love of God. And that brings me to the forgiving dream, because until you turn this dream of yours, of a dream of vengeance, resistance, blame, punishment, fear, guilt, sin, it will keep representing and showing you and demonstrating you what you believe. Its self-fulfilling prophecy becomes real for you. And I love that site. Go to chapter 29, the forgiving dream. The slave of idols is a willing slave. For willing must ye be, to let himself bow down and worship what has no life and seek for power in the powerless and give power to people, places, things, and events. In the next section, it says, a dream of judgment came into the mind that God created perfect as himself, your dreaming mind, your mind that fell asleep. And in that dream was heaven changed to hell, and God made enemy unto his son. How can God's son awaken from the dream? If it is a dream of judgment, so he must judge not, and he will awaken. For the dream will seem to last while he is part of it. Judge not, for he who judges will have need of idols, which will hold the judgment off from resting on himself. So that you projected your hate of self onto things that can now seem to harm you. Nor can you know the self you have condemned. Judge not, because you make yourself a part of evil dreams, where idols are your true identity and your salvation from judgment laid in terror and in guilt upon yourself. Next paragraph says, all figures in the dream are idols. All figures, everything, people, places, things, events, made to save you from your dream, from awareness of dreaming. Yet they are part of what they have been made to save you from. Thus does an idol keep the dream alive and terrible. For who could wish for one unless he were in terror and despair? Because you believe it's possible, and so it becomes real for you. This the idol represents, and so it is worshipped. And so its worship is the worship of despair, terror, and a dream from which they come. Judgment is an injustice to God's Son, and it is justice and it is justice that who judges him will not escape the penalty he laid upon himself within the dream he made. I'll read that one again. Judgment is an injustice to God's Son, and it is justice that who judges him will not escape the penalty he laid upon himself within the dream he made. God knows of justice, not of penalty, not a punishment. And what is justice? What is given to one is given to all. You are the love of God. But in the dream of judgment, you attack and you are condemned, and you wish to be a slave of idols, which are interposed between your judgment and the penalty it brings. There can be no salvation in dreams as you dream it, as you dream of toys. Nightmares, two sections down. Nightmares are childish dreams. The toys have turned against the child who thought he made them real. Yet can a dream attack? Can a toy grow large and dangerous and fierce and wild? That's what the world's become to you. Toys that now attack you. There is a time where childhood needs to put down. And the belief in childhood toys, people, places, things, and events. We're not talking about kiddies' toys. We're not talking about your bicycle. We're talking about things that you have imagined can harm you. They can only harm you because you imagine they can. The real you can't be harmed by any of this. Forgiveness brings you to the recognition of what the Course calls the real world. And what it says is the real world still is but a dream, except the figures have been changed. They are not seen as idols which betray. It is a dream in which no one is used to substitute for something else, nor interpose between the thoughts the mind conceives and what it sees. No one is used for something he is not, for childish things have all been put away, and what was once a dream of judgment has now changed into dream, where all is joy, because that is the purpose that it has. Only forgiving dreams can enter here, for time is almost over, and the forms that enter in the dream are now perceived as brothers, not in judgment, but in love, everything seen as a part of your divine nature. And so nothing's going to harm you. Nothing can harm the real you. Forgiving dreams have little need to last. They are not made to separate the mind from what it thinks. They do not seek to prove the dream is being dreamed by someone else. And in these dreams, a melody is heard that everyone remembers, though he has not heard it before all time began, echoes of eternity. Forgiveness, once complete, brings timelessness so close, the song of heaven can be heard, not with the ears, but with the holiness that has never left the altar, that abides forever deep within the Son of God. And when he hears this song again, he knows he never heard it not. And where is time when dreams of judgment have been put away? Whenever you feel fear in any form, remember this, anything that triggers you, and you are fearful if you do not feel a deep content, a certainty of help, a calm assurance heaven goes with you. Be sure you've made an idol and believe it will betray you. So the next time fear comes up, this is vital. Fear, anxiety, resistance, judgment, any fear in any form, realize, hang a second, I've made an idol of whatever it is, an idol that can hurt me, an idol that can hurt our idol that can hurt what I really am, which is the Holy Son of God, and no idol, which I've dreamt up, can harm what I am. Temporarily the dreamer, but eternally the Holy Son of God. Okay. For beneath your hope that it will save you lie the guilt and pain of self-betrayal and uncertainty, so deep and bitter that the dream cannot conceal completely all your senses of doom. This is what happens when we allow the anxiety to rise. Your self-betrayal must result in fear, for fear is judgment, leading surely to the frantic search for idols and for death. Forgiving dreams remind you that you live in safety and have not attacked yourself. So do your childish terrors melt away, and dreams become a sign that you have made a new beginning, not another try to worship idols and to keep attack. Forgiving dreams are kind to everyone who figures in the dream. That's it, figures in the dream. And so they bring the dreamer full release from dreams of fear, your dreaming mind. He does not fear his judgment, for he has judged no one, nor has sought to be released through judgment from what judgment must impose. And all the while he is remembering what he forgot, where judgment seemed to be the way to save him from his penalty. I hope this brings you to clarity. Guys, this is not easy to accept, especially when we take ourselves seriously, when we believe in the conspiracy stuff. when we feel we can be harmed, when we've experienced pain, when we've experienced betrayal, when we've experienced loss, and it seems to never end because that's the way the world seems. Yet we can see a happy dream, but it's an elect choice. You need to choose. And if you choose, then you need to abide. If you turn left, you're going to keep going wrong mind. If you turn right, you're going to go right mindedness. But you've got to stay on the path and you've got to willingly stay on the path because it's so easy to stray. And so, vigilance. Where's these fears coming from? What am I judging? What am I projecting? What am I giving power to? Who am I giving power to? People, presidents, political parties, organizations, countries, this, that, and the other. The television, whatever appears to be as news, as opposed to focusing on what's right in front of you. The minute you give it power, it pulls you into the very core of your dream of separation, fear, and guilt. Return to the awareness of being. Return to the silent stillness. Abide in silence. Give gratitude for the awareness of being. Forgive your triggers. Forgive your beliefs that things can harm the essence of what you really are. Don't try and hang on to the body forever. You are eternal. You live forever. There's no rush to go and put the body down. There's no need to harm yourself in the process. Remain vigilant. Remain vigilant for the voice for God within you. Become a symbol of the Christ. Become the light of this world. Share yourself. And you will make mistakes. You will seem to fail. But what is already over cannot be failed because the son fell asleep and awoke in God. But to recognize he had a dream. There's a tiny mad idea in his mind where he has forgiven himself. Not yet. Not yet. But forgiveness is the outcome. Peace is the outcome. Joy is the outcome. Love is what you are. How can it not be? I hope this has brought you clarity. This has been a little tough one. We all go through it. Don't you ever think the guru, the teacher for God, the spiritual teacher, the seeker, the minister, the rabbi, the holy man, the shaman, they all go through this daily. You sometimes see them when they teach as you watch me now, and we seem to be fine. They seem to be fine. They go through the ups and downs like everyone else. It requires vigilance. It requires a holy tenacity to stay focused on the truth, stay focused on the light within, to dial in, to align with, and to be reeled in by the voice of God, a holy line straight back to where we've never left. Hope this brought you clarity. Next week, we're going to do the fun one. The question starts where have all the good men gone? It's a great question. But I want to bring you into the decision, the rules for decision making, right-minded decision making. Because until you see that, no matter what answer I give you, you won't believe me. Thanks for joining me. Be well and be blessed. Stay vigilant and never forget you are the love of God. The love I am recognizes the love you are. The love I appear to be recognizes the love you appear to be. But the essence of what we are is love, and that can never change. Blessings. Take care.